Hey, what's good, people? This is the Option Podcast. This is episode 118. That man over there, that's Greg Faulkner. The episode starts right now. You know, I promised I wasn't going to do this because I know Jalen and Jacoby has it and they actually have their real music. But because it's you and because you were my first episode and because you were my colleague and because you're my brother from another mother, I got to do it. Ready? I got to give the people what they want. What's up, Greg?
How we doing?
What's good, man?
Not much. Not much at all.
So you came from practice? Is that where you're coming from?
No, I just had to go pick up like some equipment for a club. So, that's right around the corner. We're ready to go.
Okay. Nice. You were. I noticed you were working out with Chris Austin. Some of the mornings and this and that. Good crew of people, man. Right?
Oh yeah.
Cole Fears. Cole Fears very easy to coach, very easy to work with. Great personality. Chris Austin, a little bit of a control freak, but I think there's levels to that, and that's more to do with the people that don't know him as well as you and I do. I think that guy is awesome. You know what I'm saying? He rubs some people the wrong way, and it's the podcast, so I gotta be real. But I also gotta be real. A lot of people that feel that way don't really know him. You know, there are people who are misunderstood, and there are people that are douchebags. He's misunderstood.
Yeah, I think the one thing about being in the volleyball community, I definitely had the opportunity to just like play against him in college, but then also like hearing things about him from other people. And for me, I'm more the guys like, okay, hey, you hear such and such from whoever, and you gotta take that with a grain of salt. Like, they're not gonna be like basing your whole opinion on somebody you never met. So me actually getting to meet him and play against him, I'm like, oh, okay, like I get why some people are like kind of salty about like over him, but he is one of those guys who's just unapologetically like himself, and it's like you can't really be mad about somebody who's gonna give you that 100%. Like, that's who he is, and he's just about the grind and trying to get better, and so it is what it is.
And I think for someone like him, he has to be that way to get to where he is. I think if he were any other way but that way, he wouldn't enjoy the volleyball prosperity that he's enjoying right now. He's writing books. I actually read the first one, The Way. I didn't read the whole thing, but I did fixate on, because it was told under the eyes of 5 different players that came up from childhood or whatever, including Micah Maha. And Micah was the one I kind of honed in on as far as chapters.
Yeah.
I thought it was clever. I think his writing style is a little basic. But with that being said, he's mad young out there writing the book, doing his thing. I ain't, I sound like a little hater, like Hater J's coming out like, it was alright, it wasn't great, I mean, all right, someone wins the title, you ain't Michael Jordan. No, I'm not doing that. I'm saying that I thought it was alright. And I think for someone who did his first book and did it at such a young age and had a pair of balls between his legs to do that,
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Miranda's in the house. Hold up, we didn't mention that. There she goes. Yo, you're my rock, Miranda.
It's okay. I know I'm loved.
You're my rock.
Silently. It's okay.
Yeah. So we got a lot of topics to cover or call out, but what I want to talk about first, because we don't have a lot of information and we could just get on the more fun stuff later, right? Fuerbringer. Matt Fuerbringer, Joy's the head coach, right? Matt Fuerbringer is the assistant.
Yes.
They've been there at Long Beach State for like 4 years. They were fired and then before the season was over.
Yep.
But which I thought was kind of weird. Like, usually when a coach loses their job, they wait till the end of the season unless they're losing so much you took it as far as you could go and they just gotta go, or there's something toxic in the environment where they have to be removed, which is going to my second part. They were given, according to Dave McKenzie, a Long Beach State alumni and huge alumni, a supporter of his alma mater, they were given 30 minutes to get their shit, and they were escorted out by security. Now, Greg, you played in the college scene, 4-year starter, right? You are currently the assistant coach at Cal Northridge.
Yes.
Is that protocol? Is that the way they remove people?
I would not say it would be that abrupt. I feel like unless there was something that was like truly like a violation, maybe. But like this is like mid-season for the girls right now, and like I get it. The way that they worded it, like if you were to go read an article, whatever, they say it was due to performance issues. And it's like, hey, like, we get it. There's some girls that ended up transferring, whatever. And, like, the team just hasn't been at the caliber that we've seen it at over the years. But at the same time, like, you got Joy and Fuerbringer who have Rockstar and Mizuno Long Beach who's got, like, who's a pretty big name, right, for club. And being a college coach and having that, as another, stream of like how you can get players in is going to be helpful. But what I think what happened is more just like there probably was something behind the scenes that like, that wasn't taken care of.
There had to be.
Like there's no way just because of because of the team's not doing great that you're gonna just cut somebody in mid season.
There had to be.
Absolutely.
I mean, if the wording is performance, who the hell performs so poorly that they're like, yo, you got 30 minutes to pack your shit, get out. Security!
Right.
Who the hell does that if the wording is performance?
Yeah.
So there's one or two reasons. One, like you said, there's something inside the environment that was toxic that allowed that brings new meaning to the word immediate dismissal. Or the AD's just fucked up, man. He's just that's a messed up thing to do. Mm-hmm. If they're trying to keep something quiet, okay, I get that and whatever. But my first take was y'all are messed up.
Yeah.
Y'all are messed up that you did Furby and Joy like that. Someone that has roots in the volleyball community. Someone that if anyone, they're looking for a new coach. Everybody be like, oh, Jay, that'd be a dream job for you, Jay. I'm like, hell no, it wouldn't be.
Not after you just saw what just happened.
No, nobody's going to want to touch that if you do one of our own like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not mad that they fired the two of them. All right. You said, okay, he's got star power. He's done some good things with junior. Is doing some good things with juniors. Mizuno, this and that. The boys' club's really good. I think they have girls too.
Yeah.
His daughter's awesome. I coached against his daughter. I was with them this summer. So on numerous occasions when she's 11 years old, bossing it. This girl's 11 years old, bossing it. So and maybe I'll tell a story about that later. But this right now, this ain't about me. But it's only about me in the sense that my first take was y'all are out of your fucking mind. Wow. But what I will say this, your celebrity and your pedigree should not entitle you to stay if you're not winning. All right. No. So the last
Absolutely
4 seasons, they've only had one winning record. Their best record in their 4 seasons was 16-13. So 3 losing seasons in 4 years. Long Beach State, that probably demands a little bit higher, a standard, right?
Yeah,
they have a different
absolutely.
standard. Yeah, you got to go, but like that?
No, and from what? Because I got Furby on Facebook, and he had his like post to kind of like speak his piece about the whole thing, and it's just one side. I don't really know. I haven't really heard anything officially from Long Beach, but from what I like read, the whole situation was that like the AD didn't have a prior conversation to them about like if there was any issues. Like it was more like leading up to them having that conversation, it was they had no idea.
Right.
So like, and it's yeah, okay, hey, you had losing seasons, like I get that, but there has to be some type of system of like, oh hey, here's an issue, we need to take care of it, like we need to figure this out before you're like, oh hey, yeah, no, we're just gonna go straight to firing you guys. Like, you know, there's got to be a system in place of like trying to figure out what solution you guys can come to, you know, while keeping it in house and not having to, you know.
Do you think the team had a little brouhaha, a little knock after they lost to Bakersfield, maybe?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you right now. I know for me, for CSUN, you know, I remember my freshman year, we lost like 5 seniors. That first year, we went 7-22.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it took us some time to get to, you know, back to playoffs. You know, we've had losing seasons.
Yeah,
it is what it is, and I mean, I know for on the men's side, we were playing in a league that was like really competitive. Like anybody can beat anybody in the NPSF, and you really had to fight for those 8 spots for those 12 teams.
Yeah.
And so, just thinking about for the girls, and you know, it's Long Beach State, like, you know, you're competing against, you know, Hawaii, whoever it is, like. These are some really tough teams to play. And if you got some players that are ended up transferring and doing whatever, like you're trying to like figure out who you're going to bring in, like it's a lot to like put on a coach, you know, to think about trying to figure out, okay, hey, what works, what doesn't work, what's going to be the future of the program, you know, even if it's not like, hey, we're going to win right now. Mm-hmm. You got to try to win later on as well with these, you know, with these underclassmen. You know, trying to make sure that they get reps, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So
definitely,
I'm thinking like there had to be something else.
Here we go again. I'm gonna make it about me, but I want to tell you a story, okay? Mm-hmm. I was the head coach, the interim coach at John Jay College. I was a longtime assistant there because my best friend Eater, Haitian player, Mataye. It's a program that no coach wants to touch. It's a program where careers go to die. You don't want to touch that environment. There's not a whole lot of support as far as helping recruiting at that time, but it was kind of changing. There was an athletic director named Carol Cashel who is really, really good at taking care of her own, and when she does that, the people that she takes care of do their job, and everyone starts winning. So when she came on and she got Eater, I'm like, yeah, I can, part-time assistant? Yeah, I could do that. I'm coaching Hunter High School, this and that. So Eater quit, and I told her, hey, look, keep me on as an interim. I'm moving to California. This is 2015. I'm moving to California. And I can't believe I'm telling this story, but here goes. And so they keep me on as an interim. I'm moving December anyway, so November is our last game of the season. And there were some toxic players in the system where I as a head coach would have never recruited. Right. But at the same time, they're starters, right? And you got a decision to make, right? Do you bench them on principle, or do you just you play them and you take that chance, and maybe winning will take care of itself, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And as an interim coach, you go the latter because you're not going to be there next year anyway. So it worked out in a sense that it was like their first conference winning season they had in 11 years, their first home playoff game in the history of their program. So I did a lot that first year. But then when the semifinals happened, and I'm so sorry it took so long to get to this part. Semifinals happened, totally choked against Baruch College, who was the better team anyway. And then I'm watching the finals, or people warm up for the finals, and security says, you got to come, right? So I go to the girls' locker room, and there's this big ass scrap. They're just fighting. This one's holding this one down. This one's like, get the fuck off me, this and that. And I went in that room, and I did an Al Pacino, man. I said, I never smelled anything. All the years I've been coaching, I never smelled anything stinks like this. You know what I'm saying? And then the athletic director came in, and everyone just dropped silent because she's one of those power women that come into the room and everybody it's like, I don't know. It's like when you're growing up as a kid, there's a particular teacher or like a woman figure where you walk in, everyone just goes, they're all dumbfounded and fucking scared. So they knew they were in trouble when she went in. So She sent me an email saying it's better that I don't come in the office the next, come back to the office and they'll ship me my stuff. But the problem I had was I had a laptop that my wife gave me as a loaner.
Right.
Because they didn't supply that. And I'm like, nah, they're not shipping that. So I went to the school, walked past security, and I grabbed my laptop, and security escorted me out. Security who knows me was like, we've been told we have to escort you out, but you want to tell us what the hell's going on, Jason? Because you know me, like I established relationships with everyone. Mm-hmm. Security knows me. The guy who works at the cafeteria knows me. The dean knows me. Everyone knows me on that same level. So the whole time they're escorting me out, they're just like, what, dude? I need to know what happened. we got a job to do. And I never told that story, and I'm telling it now because if I'm going to talk about Fuerbringer and I'm going to talk about other people, I would like to leave myself vulnerable. Where if anyone has something they want to say to me, you got plenty of ammunition now. But that would be a reason to get escorted out by security. So, and I wasn't a danger. I'm just like, fuck off. That's my wife's. You don't ship that. You ship that could be damaged. She's out of a laptop that she had no obligation to give me or the school to begin with. Mm-hmm. And me not having to come back to this toxic environment anyway was like getting disinvited to a party you have no intention of going to.
Right.
So with that story, it kind of makes us think there's so many layers, right?
Right.
Maybe Joy and the athletic director had it out. Maybe that loss right? You don't see Long Beach State losing to Bakersfield 3-0.
No.
That was their last loss before they were unceremoniously removed. So, yeah. Oh man. Oof. But Furby, we love you. I'm gonna give Greg something to say. Tell us how much you love Fuerbringer.
Oh, I do. I mean, he's one of those guys that I definitely have watched as a player, and then also have the opportunity to play against like his team that he was coaching. You see him out on the beach all the time, 6-man, all that. He's riding his bike and he says what's up.
Big smile on his face.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And so it's just crazy, to be like, being able to be like, oh hey, he's coached at Long Beach or whatever, and then like having something like this happen, and you're just like, whoa, like, what was that about? Like, I remember I literally was at high school the next day. And that was the first thing we like started talking about, and I was like, "Wait, what happened?" Because I didn't even know until all the coaching staff brought it up, and we're just like sitting there talking before like practice starts about it, and we were saying that like it's in terms of like you like for Joy, like we all love Joy, but it kind of like ruins that whole coaching career in a way of like being like, hey, you got let go like mid-season. Mm-hmm. Now anywhere that she tries to go, they're gonna be like, well, like why, like what happened, And so, I feel like them saying performance issues is not enough.
No,
not
because you don't get
like, you don't.
Performance issues is not a mid-season firing either.
No, so it had to be whether it was like, there were some toxic players on the team that got let go, and then like there's probably like their feedback on the whole situation, or like how the culture is. Like there's a lot of different things that it could be.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're right. Big up to Kara Kasho, athletic director, John Jay. Since that incident, Lecek came in from Poland. They actually made the finals instead of the semifinals. They're doing really, really good things. And I knew, she's an awesome athletic director. So right now, this athletic director is under fire because of what happened to Fuerbringer. But for me, Carol was never under fire because that story never came out until I just said it here on this podcast. Mm-hmm. And even though I just said it, she has to protect herself. and the players or whatever. So telling me not to come back was the right thing to do. And me, breaking into the school and getting my wife's computer was the right thing to do too. So, and also getting escorted out by security was the right. And it was a situation where everyone did the right thing. But I'm only bringing this up because this don't feel right.
Yeah, no.
This don't feel right, I feel yucky. And it didn't even happen to me,
Right. Absolutely.
So big up to Carol, big up to John Jay, Alex Key. I don't know if that's the guy's name, the AD. You got some splaining to do. You got some
seriously.
splaining to do if he wants to hire someone good. And we love us some Long Beach State, right? We got great relationships, right? Who's our guy? The outside hitter, the only black guy on the team, Lewis Richard.
Yep.
Right? He was with me at Evolution. We coached there together. Mike Campbell, one of the nicest guys of the beach team. Such a nice guy. I was a coach at Endless Summer. Two of my girls who I coached, they're playing with him right now. Leah Black and Kaylee Jones. Leah Black's already there. Kaylee Jones, I think, is starting her freshman year. So, yeah, we got Duncan Avery, right? Who's the program director for Evolution, Long Beach State. Taylor Crabb.
Taylor and Trevor.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, well, a lot of friends from Long Beach. Actually, a lot of friends.
Is Alan Knipe?
Yeah.
Alan Knipe was also Long Beach State.
He was coaching.
Wow. How about Sorensen? No, Sorensen was Pepperdine. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a lot. There's a lot of guys.
Yeah, man, it's cool. If I wasn't sitting across from a Cal Northridge guy, I would have called that the nice guy's school or the cool kid school. Greg, you're the cool kid school. There's you. There's Marty Lorenz. There's Ty Tremblay. Jay Check. Come on. Billy Allen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Come on. The cool kid school, Greg Faulkner. So are you in non-traditional season right now?
Yeah, we got preseason right now. Actually, we had a scrimmage against Hawaii yesterday. I couldn't go because I had private lessons that were already scheduled that I just
written in stone. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we will be at SC this weekend on Saturday.
All right.
And so we have our schedule out and everything. So we're gonna be. I think we're gonna have like a CSUN A and B team. And they have a. It'll be interesting. Like I'm pretty excited about the season. Like going in, I got to see the guys practice one of the days that I was free from high school. And we got some newer guys on the team, and the culture is just great. Like all the guys are locked in. They're all like, hey, like when we like if you got guys asking about weightlifting, all this stuff. Like you got like guys who usually you're like, oh, like we got to go to weights. Oh, well, okay, But these guys are like all on it. They're like, oh, hey, everybody needs to be in the gym. We're gonna go do open gym. We're gonna do all this stuff, and I like that is has been developed, because I think that for us when I was playing, we had players, right? We had pieces, but it was not the culture wasn't the same as it is right now. Like it was like, hey, on any given day we could turn it on, but then there's a game too where we end up just not playing together at all, and I think with this group of gentlemen right now is that it's a very special situation where I feel like, oh wait, all of these guys are all in together on just trying to get this done, and I think that this is one of those situations where we are in a good position to do some damage this year, considering you got Hawaii who lost a lot of guys, some Long Beach lost a lot of guys, but. We got to make sure we take care of playoffs, and we're gonna get some injuries along the way. It happens, but trying to get like, hey, late season, that's when you try to make that push, because everybody goes for playoffs now, because you have the NPSF and you have Big West, and so.
And Big West right now is the most competitive division in the NCAA.
It's gnarly. You got
like NPSF, you could make an argument for the MIVA with Loyola, Chicago, and Lewis, but no.
Yeah, but you got
like 4 deep.
So far, like we had Santa Barbara, who was playing phenomenal, Hawaii, right,
defending champs.
Yes, and then you got Long Beach,
previous repeat champs,
and Irvine.
In
there.
Yeah, right? I mean, think about it. Like the last 10 title winners. Long Beach State twice, Hawaii, and Irvine.
Yeah.
Five of your last 10 champs
Yes.
are in the Big West.
And then we got to give credit to San Diego. San Diego played phenomenal last season. Like,
They did.
They played,
dude, they balled. No one
like,
saw that coming.
Like they balled out. Like they ended up knocking us out of the conference, championships in Hawaii. And I was like, dude, like I had never seen in my life San Diego play this well. Like,
you said what just happened?
Hey, they turned it on against us for sure, and I was just like, wow, like. We did what we could at the moment, but I think that because of that, those guys are they're out for revenge on our team. So we'll see how that goes.
When you get a chance, can you do like a little 2-minute live?
Okay.
Miranda's awesome. Miranda's my social media machine. Dude, you got 8,500 views on Facebook last time you came. You're loved by the old school and the new.
All right.
Because they say Facebook's for old people, but guess what? Here we are on Facebook Live.
Yes.
Old school in it. No one saw that coming. San Diego. So I just mentioned like 5 of the champs were Big West. The other 5, MIVA.
Oh yeah.
Ohio
absolutely.
State 3 times.
Yeah.
And Loyola Chicago twice.
Loyola, and yeah.
And they beat Lewis in the finals. So how crazy is that in all MIVA finals? I mean,
yeah.
Right? How the hell is one of those teams even getting that large bid unless there's some depth in that, I mean, it's been 3 deep for a long time, right? It's Lewis, Ohio State, and Loyola Chicago, but Ball State looks pretty good last couple of years. Yeah. I know you traveled east a little bit, so you could probably tell me better than me, right?
No, yeah. I mean, we had some battles with Ball State for sure when we went. I think I want to say 2 years ago, maybe 3. Mm-hmm. And we had a really big win against IPFW in 5. That was like there was a little scrap. That was like it's a kind of funny scenario because I remember there's one outside who he was like hitting balls and he like said something to our setter, and then there's a situation where like our setter was trying to run a ball down and the outside got in front of him and like kind of like cut him off so he couldn't dig the ball,
right?
And so he was like, my setter was like, oh, okay, and he was a freshman at the time, right? And so later on in the game, similar scenario happens. Our setter was like, hey, I got an opportunity here. He does the exact same thing back to that guy, and that guy was like, got into his face and was like I don't know what he said, but like our whole bench got up and everybody swarmed this dude. And then I was like, yeah, he messed up. I was like, I don't care where we are. You messed up. The whole team was like, whoop. And our middle was like, his name's Daniel Wetter. Our middle comes over and he kind of just like stiff armed the guy like, hey, don't do that.
Nice. Nice. I like that.
And then it got broken up, but it was just like, you could see it like one of the coaches that was watching on the live stream like took a video of it and it was like funny. Like I was just like watching it back. I'm like, oh wow. But
good unity.
But yeah, I mean, they out there on the East Coast, the Midwest, they got some baller teams. I mean, obviously a lot of people, when it comes to mine, they're like, oh, like there's not much volleyball out there. But it's like, I mean, it is what it is. Like you're playing against these teams, you don't see them a lot during regular season, and you got to be able to be on your game. And these guys are practicing in all types of weather. Like we here in California, like we don't have to like go to practice in the snow or what I mean.
Yeah.
Like they're doing all this other stuff.
You're doing stair climbing in the snow.
Yeah, so
their sand dune is a snow dune.
So I can't be like, oh, like they don't know what volleyball is. That there's no way. Like they're out here doing what they can to get better.
Well, they definitely have better coaching out there, and that's where I think the culture changed. You see good teams. I said this on previous episodes. You see good teams on the West Coast, we think it's the players. You see good teams in the Midwest or whatever, it's the coaches. You see good teams on the East, it's the immigration population.
Oh, right.
Right? Like
Oh,
you like Matt Anderson, Penn State was kind of an anomaly. Wait, we got an American on an NCAA winning team on the East. Usually if you see a good team on the East or the Midwest,
there's a lot of foreigners on that
Yep.
on those teams, a
Yeah.
lot, and it's dope to see though. Like honestly,
isn't that great?
it is great.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's a lot of as someone who played overseas, there's a lot of these kids who are over there trying to make it over here.
Yep.
And
Hungry.
Yeah, they're hungry, and it's like most of the time it's like they're thinking like, okay, hey, like, are we going to be able to go to a USC, UCLA, a UC Irvine, and they're just trying to figure out like, okay, what's going to be the best option for me, and they are getting their shot to play, and they're making a big time for them.
Yeah, and the correlation's there, right? When Long Beach won their first title, not way back when, but like repeat champion 4 years ago, their best player, outside hitter, wasn't DeFalco. It was that dude from Norway, that Norwegian cat, number 4. I forgot his name, blonde hair guy. I thought that was the best outside hitter. Like USC, right? Look at their beach team. Their pair one is Tina Gradino, who was, I thought at the time was the best player in the country. She still got one more year left, right? UCLA, their pair one was the McNamara, so who are from Canada, right? UCLA for a long time, for four straight years, their best offensive player was that middle. You could tell me his name. Black guy from Canada. What's his name?
Oh, Kofi. Yeah.
Right? So
they even had another outside, like even when I was still playing, it was Gonzalo Quiroga.
Yeah.
He was good.
Oh my God, he was good.
That guy was
Dude, he was good. Yeah. But again, I reiterate, we already closed the door on Fuerbringer, but I think on a general level, I have zero problem with somebody who has a large pedigree who's not winning. I'm an East Coast guy, and I'm also a hater. World-renowned hater, okay? So Bill Parcells, born in Paterson, New Jersey, said, "You are what your record says you are." And that's not always true. We both know there's so many more colors and shades to that. But at the end of the day, there's so many hungry coaches out there that are worthy of that position, that know how to win. And I know certain coaches bring a certain culture, and they bring a family environment. But at the end of the day, if you're not winning, I mean, we do wins and losses for a reason, right? And I mean, New York is crazy. Like Columbia, Fordham, Wagner, like they can have 10 losing seasons and no one gets fired. It's the reason why I'm out here. I took coaching as far as I could go, Yeah, and I think that's all I want to say about that on a general level. I'm not casting any aspersions on Fuerbringer specifically, because I think 4 seasons, like you said, and one of them was a pandemic year. Maybe he should have, maybe he shouldn't. But I don't have a problem with him losing his job. The how was fucked up. That was just fucked. Where's my camera? That was fucked up. So, we're gonna re-explore volleyball in a minute, because we're going to talk about commitment, like some of the conversations you have with players who want to, and Miranda's going to get in on this too. Fuck that. We're going to talk about Chapelle later. Greg wants to talk about Chapelle, man. So, but it's so cool having someone who's a volleyball head like me. I'm a prisoner of the moment, and I steered the conversation, so bear with me on that one.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's actually talk about volleyball dedication. I had a conversation with this morning with someone at Starbucks, whose daughter, got offers to play at Duke, to play here, and she's like, I don't know if I want to play at school. I don't know if I want to play here. And like, if you're a parent who's a volleyball fanatic, and your kid is like, they don't know, it's like, what are you talking about? What do you want, a cookie to go with that scholarship? Get your ass in the Duke, But I presented another side of the argument, and it was really hard for me to do, because I'm a fanatic like you, like Miranda. And it took Kelly, my significant other, to bring this in perspective. She got recruited to play tennis and volleyball, right?
Right.
But then you realize somewhere in the middle of your first year, even the beginning, they expect that to be your 10-month experience out of 12 months. Some places 11 months out of 12, some 12 months. Greg, and I'm gonna steer the question to you. All right, if we're playing college volleyball and our coach says this has to be your 10-month experience out of 12, we're like, sure. I want this to be my 13-month experience out of a possible 12. But not everybody's built like that.
No.
How do you, as a coach, because now you're a college coach, you're not just chill Greg playing Smackfest and fucking traveling to Romania and Peru and making money and having a good time. You have a responsibility as a man, the man I know you've always been. How do you have the conversation with kids and maybe their parents about the importance of this dedication and asking the kids what they want?
I think that it's very, very important because I think specifically with the kids nowadays, like a lot of these kids are like, they want everything kind of handed to them in a way. Like, you know, I coach at a private school for high school. I've coached club, and being out here, coaching for one of the bigger known clubs for girls. And it's like with this generation, like there's a lot of these parents who are like, okay, like, but what's the furthest my daughter can go, you know, like realistically? And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like,
what does that mean?
I'm like, look, there's a ton of women's like schools for your daughter to play in. It just depends on how well or like one she does to get recruited and like how bad she wants it. Like there's gonna be some schools who are gonna be like, hey, we want you. And it's like, you got to do your research on like, hey, is this something I want to do? Is it really something that I want to do? And it might not just be the volleyball aspect, right? You might be interested on, oh, does my school have a football team? Oh, like what does it look like on campus? How is athletics and being a regular student? How does that work? Like, what's the workload? Oh, there's a lot of different questions you can ask. But I mean, what it really comes down to is one, you know, at least in my perspective of understanding that, like, you know, what is it that you want to do in terms of volleyball, right? Whether it is, hey, you're going to play college and you're looking to play overseas, or you're looking to like give all you can for those years and you're trying to get a job afterwards, right? And then trying to figure out like, okay, what's the coaching style like? You know, like what are the girls on the team that are already there? How do they feel about the coaches, the girls? You know, that whole process. Because it's in a way, hey, you're playing college volleyball. It is what it is. But you're also like learning. You're like networking, right? You're also like you're building all these friendships that you're gonna have for like years to come. And whether that's a good or negative experience, I mean, you're gonna have that up and down about it, but it really just comes down to like, hey, if that is something that you want in terms of, oh, hey, I'm looking to be the best volleyball player that I can be, and to, you know, to meet all these interesting people and be able to travel and do all that stuff, then you got to understand that what it takes for you to do that. Because I know for me, when I went to college, I mean, I was like, oh yeah, I loved the whole idea of being a mechanical engineer, right? I'm like, this is great. I'm in college. I got recruited by the like Northridge, who was number 1 at the time. Awesome. And then I realized real quick that like that's a lot to balance with volleyball. Like all the math, science, all that type of stuff. I had to like retake classes, you know, and I had to just come to terms with like, oh, maybe this major is not for me, you know, and that's going to happen. You know, I feel like there's a lot of at least the biggest thing is that being able to, you know, understand who you are as a person. Well, you're going to learn that when you're in college, who you are as a person, just not with the volleyball, right? You're going to learn you have other hobbies, other things that you like and all that type of stuff. And, you know, there has to be an understanding that like, if you don't know what that is right away, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's all these kids who like, oh, I need to do this. I need to be this, da-da-da-da. Like, I need to be this done by this time. You have time to figure that out. And finding that situation for you where it's like the perfect, hey, the coach is great, the school's great in terms of they have a lot of options for me to be able to explore and understand, like, okay, hey, like, what it is that I want to do and what piques your interest, you know. I think that's the most important thing, just being able to, you know, understand that, hey, I'm going to go to college. It's going to be a great experience, and I'm going to learn, you know, what it is that I want to do outside of volleyball, but then also being able to get to play at such a high level and do all that type of stuff.
Miranda, you're running this conversation. You're a long time volleyball player, and you played a couple of years at Elko, right?
Yes.
From your personal experience, how much were you okay with that being, or is the junior scene like is it that buck wild? As far as like months out of the year, like
Are we talking like at Elko time or like high school?
No,
Which
like
part of my life am I giving up? Which one are we?
Well, let's start with high school. Like, were you neck deep in it, where the coach is like, off season, you got to do this, and that, and the type of surrounding?
Yeah, my coaches were pretty adamant about me making that my whole life. I actually ended up getting kicked off my basketball team because I was it was cutting into my volleyball practice, so I was leaving basketball early, and I ended up getting cut from the team. They had a team meeting about it.
They made you make you make a decision.
Yeah, they gave me an ultimatum, and it was a very easy decision for me to pick volleyball over basketball because it was just what I used to stay in shape for volleyball. But yeah, I was okay with it being my life. I loved it. I love being able to be active and work out and not be home, and that was a big part of that.
Let me ask the both of you, how much does fellowship have to do with that too? I think for women more than men, because I think women enjoy success. Well, psychology and all the studies are saying they enjoy a lot more success through sisterhood, picking each other up and this and that, and doing this stuff kind of as a team. Because if you don't, it becomes toxic. And that was my long time mistake as a women's coach. I've never coached so many seasons in the beginning of my coaching career, and they did everything I asked, and they all still sucked. You know, I had to learn that you cannot say or do anything in front of the team that's going to turn any of the girls against her. You know, and that's huge for women's volleyball, where the guys are like, I'm sorry, you here on CPT time? I needed you on Japanese people time. Everybody go run. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really turn them against them. It just motivates them. So, Greg, you want to go first on that?
I will say that I agree. For me, coaching, you know, college at men's, you know, and I did coach JV boys at PV, you know, a while back, but I coach now club, you know, for girls, and I've been doing that for a few years now since I've been living in Hermosa Beach, and I think it's been interesting to figure out that like you really have to truly understand the personalities that you have on the team, so that way you can like push them in certain ways. Like, not everybody responds to the same message, you know? And then when it comes down to it, like you said, I agree that, like, when it comes down for girls, they all need to feel good to play good. Like, that they need to feel collectively good, right, to play good. And for the men, the boys, they want to win. Like, winning makes them feel good. They're like, oh, dope, we got that, whatever. And
performance through leadership.
Yes, and like they can, for the most part, I can see, and I'm not saying that this is set in stone. That is what it is. It's just what I've observed. That like, you know, in terms of you being a men's coach or a boys coach, you can kind of light a fire under their ass, you know, and they're like, all right. Yeah, all right, coach. You know, boom, we got it.
Yeah.
And then for the girls that I've coached, I've had a handful of situations where, you know, I might have done a similar situation to that, like, you know, early on, like as a coach. And, you know, I remember one time there was a girl on my team who like came up to me and she's like, Coach Greg, do you hate me? And I was like, what? No. I was like, not even close. Are you kidding me? She's like, oh, okay.
Picture someone asking Greg that.
She's like, oh, I just wanted to make sure. And I was like, no, I don't hate you at all. I don't hate you at all. I if anything, like, like you're one of my favorites. That's why I'm like you're one, like you're a person on this team that's really important. And because I'm hard on you, it's because I know that you have so much potential. Like, don't take it personally. Anything that I say that comes out of my mouth, it's not about you personally. It's just about you as the volleyball player.
But you have to understand, if it's a girl asking that question, it's rhetorical.
Right.
Okay,
like,
she needs assurance. She knows you're not going to say, bitch, I can't stand you. I'm so glad you asked.
But it's something like that, being able to know that, hey, like they need that reassurance, and just like, hey, you're in a high pressure situation, like I'm giving you the green light to do, like, whether it's to rip a serve, to hit the crap out of the ball, whatever that event that happens afterwards, I'm not mad about it. Right? It's like, hey, we practice in these high pressure environments, so that when you're in a game, it just feels fine. And there's a lot of situations where there's some players that are just like, that moment comes up and they're just like, coach is gonna hate me, and it's like, no. Like, you gotta rely on your training, all that type of stuff. It is what it is. And we as coaches want to be able to push these girls, these boys, whatever it is, so that they can be the best versions of themselves. And a lot of it really just comes down to it's just all mental. Yeah. Right? And that and trying to maneuver that.
Almost all.
Trying to maneuver that part. And making sure that, hey, like, I'm someone you can come to if you have any problems, whatever, and I'm trying to make the game easy for you, like, so you don't have to think,
Yep. Miranda, were you someone that everyone got along with in your team?
Ooh, I don't know. I think so.
Because me and Greg have the same guess on that one.
I was always very quiet. I was very quiet all the time. My coaches would tell me that I needed to celebrate more, because I was just like, she's like, you just like get a kill and then just stand there. And I was like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do.
It's a normal day, yeah.
That's my job. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm supposed to do.
I had a similar thing.
Like, I wasn't the crazy wild one. I was very quiet.
Greg, you were saying?
I know for me, like, when I first started volleyball, like, coach told me to do something, and I'm like, okay. And, like, that was it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, hey, I did something crazy. I'm like, oh, no, like, I've spent time in practice doing exactly that. So I'm not going to get excited over it, because it should happen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh. And literally, like, I just remember high school, like, legit, like, kids would just be like, who is that kid? He's not saying a word through the net. Like, I'm just looking. I'm, like, staring through people. Like, I'm just like, we're here. We got to go to work.
Those are my favorite kind of players, because you don't have to worry about the cold and the hot. You don't have to worry about, like, emotional highs and lows. You're never too high, where the wave's gonna crash, and you got to deal with the possible 5 points you got to give up on the low just because you got 3 high. So that's both of y'all. Evolution, quick story. When I was coaching 17s, right, we were out of goals, so we're in the silver finals, and it's 15-14 game 3, and I'm coaching 17s, and I have a 15 on the team, and I just wanted to look for someone I don't even know why I just looked. I don't know if I was looking to see if someone who hasn't played or someone that wants in this game, but this kid, he's a 15 playing on my 17s, all the way to the end of the bench is like this, just looking at me, and I'm like, go in and serve. So 15-14, this 15-year-old just goes in and serves. I'm like, look, just take your time, jump float position 1, just go 1-1, we're good. And he gets on the court, and he hasn't played all playoffs, and the parents are like, we want to leave winners, okay? We're not in the go, but we want to leave winners, right? So this fucking kid tosses the ball in the air, and I'm like, okay, that's not a toss for a jump floater. Tosses the ball in the air, hits it as hard as he can. It hits like the side of his hand, but it's what we call the perfect miss.
Yes.
Because he hits this way, right? And it hits the side of his hand, so it goes to position 4 and 5. And the guy trying to pass it dives and can't touch it. He tries to dive. It moves that fast, and the topspin was that heavy. And this kid gets an ace to win the game, and everybody on the team's going nuts. But not him. He's just kind of kind of does one of those. and the parents look at me like, you know, one of the parents, before we go shake hands, one of the parents left the chair and comes on the court. He's like, you got some balls, man. you got balls. And I said, and I know they were thinking like, what were you thinking? And I wasn't thinking. I was in my volleyball instinct says, I want someone who's not, where the moment's not too big. Yes. And the guys, the people I know where the moment's not too big are guys like you and girls like you who are, it's just volleyball. You know, you're unassuming. You know, it feels like 1-1 to you. It doesn't feel like 15-14. So, and that was the point of this whole story. But yeah, Miranda, I was just curious, like, you know, no, we're blessed to have a women's volleyball player on the podcast, teching the show. So, like Greg and I, we could talk about women's volleyball because we coach it and this and that, but right, it'd be nice to have a woman in on that conversation. So I'm glad you chimed in on that with us. Yeah. You know, so Greg, yes. See any good comedies lately?
Absolutely.
Yep. I guess I'll set the floor for this one. The last couple of weeks, you know, Chapelle's been getting some blowback for his last comedy, which was The Closer. Mm-hmm. A lot of people that were saying some of his skits or whatever were transphobic, were homophobic, and were misogynistic and sexist and this and that and all kinds of labels that a lot of people I think are comfortable having, because we can't go through this world without labels, right?
Right.
All right. You are. You're just a middle, meaning you can't receive serve. You have no hands. No, it's not. I mean, right? See how the label works? All of these things not true. Very true a few years ago. You know. So you saw it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
What'd you think?
Oh, I thought it was hilarious.
Me too.
my favorite thing about the whole special is that he like addressed the audience ahead of time. It was like, hey.
So you've been warned too.
He was like, hey. He said like an opening joke or something, and somebody like the audience cheered, and somebody like you can hear that one guy in the background that said something, and he's like, hold on, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And he was like, I just want to address the LGBTQ community, you know, beforehand that, you know, that I come in peace. He's like, I come in peace. And he was just, I'm just here to tell jokes. And it is like, I'm like, me watching Dave Chapelle as a kid. We're talking about like when it was on Comedy Central. And, you know, the first few skits he did. He's
like from Killing Them Softly all the way back then.
Yes. He's like literally like on that TV show, the Dave Chapelle show, he's doing skits about black people. And I was like, this is the funniest stuff because I can relate to all this stuff.
Remember the Nagar family?
Yes,
it was like all white. They were Niggar family on their mailbox.
Yes.
Sorry, but go ahead.
And then like when they did the whole racial draft thing, I thought that was hilarious. Right? So like me as somebody who have watched Dave Chapelle over the years, I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't like Eddie Murphy where they didn't see it coming. Like Eddie Murphy Delirious and Eddie Murphy Raw, a lot of people didn't see coming because, you know, Eddie Murphy's on Saturday Night Live. He's wearing the buckwheat wig and you think he's going to do something, whatever. And I'm just like, oof, maybe he should have warned people, you know. But Eddie Murphy Raw was pretty much a rinse and repair for all the shit, all of the people he offended from Eddie Murphy Delirious. Mm-hmm. You know, he offended Michael Jackson fans, Mike Tyson fans, homosexuals, you know. But the way he brought it back, I thought was appropriate, and I thought for people that are listening to it should understand the way a comedian brings it back. Just says it's us all out of love. Like the way I thought Dave brought it back was like, look, I think I'm mad because I think black people are jealous of y'all.
Yeah,
he says you guys have only been at this for a few years and you already got your shit together. He said, we've been trying to do this for 250 years and we still haven't. We're missing something. You guys got something right that we didn't. So I'm paraphrasing.
Yes.
But I thought, like, when someone says a line like that, you know he's only poking fun at you because we, as human beings, need to celebrate life and not say there's no difference, but see our differences. Miranda, you, me. We're talking dark, light, pasty white. All right, we celebrate our differences. We poke fun, and we test those waters where if it's too fucking hurtful, I don't want to hurt my friends. I don't want to hurt my friends' feelings. I'm not going to do this anymore. And you have to let comedians work. You got to let this guy work. And if it works for him, it doesn't. And there's some parts where he's like, you need to get ready for this. And that's what pisses me off. Mm-hmm. You can easily turn it off. You can easily turn the fucking channel if you don't like this TV show.
Right.
If you don't like him, don't watch him. But this whole cancel thing is just ridiculous. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just like when he was talking about how he did a little snippet about like the women's rights movement.
Yes.
Right. And he was talking about how he did a little paraphrasing on Martin Luther King when he was like, hey, he didn't tell you to still ride the bus and then wear matching outfits.
Yes.
He was like, get off the bus.
Yes.
He was like, get off the bus. Mm-hmm. And his biggest thing is like, this dude was going to make $50 million.
Got off the bus.
$50 million.
Said goodbye to 50. He kissed
and
50 million goodbye.
He left and went to Africa for however long and was like, I'm not doing this. I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy is that? Like, you gotta understand, like, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
That is uncancelably crazy.
Right?
That kind of guy you can't cancel. I don't even know why people are wasting their time. You can't cancel someone that doesn't need your validation.
No. You
can't, I'll say that again, where you can't cancel something or someone that doesn't need your validation. Yeah. But, yeah, go ahead.
And, I mean, we talked about how genius he is in terms of his delivery and the overall message on a lot of his specials. And I think that even with his last special, right? The last special that came out, hey.
Sticks and Stones?
Yeah. He addressed some things in there too. And it to the point where, like, if you had a problem with this one, why did you even watch it compared to the last one?
Because we as human beings like train wrecks. All right, I'm older than you guys. I'll bring your attention to Howard Stern.
Yes.
Howard Stern, some of the shit he did was so outlandish. It got him banned from the radio airwaves, where I think Sirius XM was invented for people like him. Now, here's a survey they did. 80% of the people that saw it said that they were uncomfortable, repulsed, or turned off. That was the survey. The second question. Out of those 80 people,
did you like it though?
You're on to something.
Yes,
I think get ready. You ready for this?
Yes.
So those 80 people, the second question was, how many of you are going to watch him next week? 90% of that 80% were going to watch him next week.
Yeah, exactly.
They love train wrecks, or they're just people out there that are just looking to be offended. Yeah. And in this cancel culture right now, this woke mob, kiss my ass. Yeah, I said it. There's a certain group of people that are only identify with being a hammer. And if you only identify with being a hammer, Greg, you're only going to be looking for nails. Yeah. And that looked more like whack-a-mole than hammer and nails, but you get what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
If you only identify with being a hater, you're only going to be looking for hate.
Yeah.
And this is coming from Hater Jay, okay? Mm-hmm. How many? We don't have any stats or whatever, but how many people that you think that shit on it didn't see it?
I think it's pretty high. And I think it's
Miranda. Wait, Miranda.
I think they either didn't watch it fully, or they haven't seen his stuff before to know what to expect. Because I honestly don't think this was the raunchiest of stand-ups that he's done by any means at all.
Yes, Greg.
I definitely agree with that, because, all right, like, for example, you brought up Eddie Murphy, right? You were talking about, like, Michael Jackson fans and Mike Tyson's fans didn't like it. But what did MJ say about it? What did Mike Tyson say about it? Like,
nothing.
There was no beef.
Sorry, Mr. T. No, it wasn't Mike Tyson. I'm sorry, it was Mr. T.
Oh, Mr. T.
I heard you were making jokes about me, boy.
Oh, yeah,
no, I wasn't. Well, maybe I wasn't.
No, but I mean, like, if they're not having any issues with it, you have all these huge celebrity roasts, all this stuff that happens where they literally just talk trash about each other.
But it's okay because it's Hollywood, and Chappelle's not Hollywood.
But you know what I mean? But like, you have situations like that, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's hilarious." And then when you got a comedian who's doing it, and they're like, "Oh, now we're mad."
Yeah.
Like,
kiss my ass.
And on top of that, it's like, look, for those of you who have watched it or who haven't watched it, the main message about this whole entire special is dedicated to a friend of his who was trans.
Yes, please.
Keep going. Who opened for him in one of the acts.
Multiple, he said.
And multiple, right? Multiple. And once he had the latest special that before Closer came out or so, that the LGBTQ community was like, bashing him. And she came to his defense.
Yeah.
To the point where people were bashing on her that she ended up committing suicide. Right? And this is his own friend, right? Yeah. Who was trans, and he was like, and they would joke at all the stuff. She loved all the material he had nothing negative to say about any of the stuff he
amongst
said.
Many other transgender people too.
Right?
Yeah.
And the whole special was dedicated to her. And if whoever watched it or didn't even watch it all the way and you didn't see that, you don't understand it at all.
Yeah.
You missed it. You missed the whole point.
Yeah. And you just got mad because of the jokes. And I feel like if someone's joking about it and it really gets to you like that and it's not your cup of tea, then okay, hey, you don't got to watch it.
Well, and that's the difference between Dave Chapelle. Finish your thought.
But I was just thinking, like, to be able to sit there and be like, oh yeah, hey, you're trans, you're transphobic, you're homophobic, right? There was even someone who said, there was a lady who brought up in one of the specials was like, is some Asian lady that she's like, oh, you hate Asian women, and I'm like, do you not understand?
Have you met his wife?
That his wife is Asian?
No.
He is only speaking about this stuff from experience, right? He's speaking about things that happened in his life, in his experience, and he's telling you about it.
Yeah.
It's not like he's making this stuff up.
God, there's so many. Miranda, something you wanted to say?
Oh no, I agree with what Greg was saying. You got to watch the full thing.
Yeah, and that was one of the big caveats I had a problem with. I had someone recently unfriend me on Facebook because she's like, well, okay, you find it funny. What did you find funny about it? And I know that's a trap question, because if I pick something I find funny about it and she doesn't, then she makes the argument about me. You know, when I already told her twice, you're not mad at me. I didn't go up there and do Killing Them Softly. I didn't go up there and do that. Your problem's with him. You can't have a problem with me that I find something, different, or that you are going to have a problem with me and not that guy. Come on, stop. So basically, J.K. Rowling got canceled because was being called a TERF or whatever. Yeah. And I actually thought that Dave Chapelle is like, if she's a TERF, I'm Team TERF. And I thought that was funny. And she's like, well, she comes back. She says, well, I didn't find that funny because, clearly J.K. Rowling is phobic this, phobic that, and how could you find that funny? And I'm like, you see what I mean? You see how we had a healthy debate about one person, and now you're making it about me. Right. It was lazy. It was cowardly. And I didn't really, and she deleted the whole conversation, and I can't even find her on my friends list, but she gets offended by woke mob, and I'm like, woke mob is not, and millennials are not the same people. You are a millennial, okay? You're not woke mob. A millennial is a particular generational age group that certain people have a problem because they feel entitled, but at the same time, I love millennials. There's less bullying online because of millennials. There's more people that get job opportunities because of millennials. So you take the good with the bad with every generation, but for some reason, woke mob, everyone thinks is like these young, these young liberals that have a problem with everybody. And I didn't like that, but so many things to unpack. But I wanted to say 3 important things, and I'll go through them as fast as I can because I already went through with Wendy Jones. Let's go through the definitions. Transphobic, all right, or even homophobic. I'll give you 2 definitions. One, and Miranda, we'll do a cosign or agree on this. Fear and hatred deriving from which you may or may not understand about transphobes. That's one of my definitions. The second definition would be the inherent belief that one is superior or inferior based on someone's gender. How's that for definitions as far as transphobia?
That sounds.
Now, my question
solid.
is, does Dave Chapelle fit any of those categories?
Hell no.
He's not afraid. He doesn't hate them. At no point in his life does he think he's superior or inferior because he's a straight male fucking old school black man. No. I label his jokes as offensive. And guess what? That's what comedians do.
Absolutely.
Chris Rock is going to tell me a joke that anyone ever told in a room that had the entire room busting a gut where it wasn't at someone's expense.
Absolutely.
You can't you don't like what kind of joke am I supposed to say, right? 3 tomatoes are running down the track, 1 tomato fell behind, I stepped on him, I said ketchup. Right? I'm defending I'm promoting assault, right? So it's gonna be someone, I mean, that's the safest joke, but someone out there, if someone looks really, really hard, they can find your worst moment.
Oh yeah.
And then define you. And with that being said, you're gonna find a whole bunch on Dave Chapelle. So that was the one caveat I wanted to do. The second one we already covered. Why don't you watch it before you criticize it? Here's the third important thing. Don't act like just because somebody gave this person the chop means that you relate to that person more than Dave Chapelle does. That pisses me off. We talked about this a couple of days ago too. Like, just because someone's transgender and you're transgender, you identify and relate to them more than Dave Chapelle does. Bullshit. Dave Chapelle got to know this person. He invited her to tour, right? She opened up on her shows. And when she died, he put all 3 of her kids to college. All right? That Dave Chapelle said, she's not a part of your tribe. She's part of my tribe. And that was the biggest thing I got out of that. Mm-hmm. Don't act like just because someone's a woman and you're a woman, or that you identify with that person just because. And on many ways you do. Yeah. But to say that you identify more on this magnitude just because you're the same sex, just because you're the same color, just because you're the same gender, just because you're the same class structure. Bullshit. I don't fucking buy it. Mm-hmm. I don't fucking buy it. And that is really the only thing that pissed me off. Because you hear people say transphobic, and I'm just like, okay, then educate yourself. You know? Or you hear some people criticize someone that they're told not to like, but never even saw it or whatever, and those people are ignorant, and I dismiss them. Oh, yes. So out of all of the things, the 3 points I made, the one that pissed me off was the last one. Stop pretending that you identify with someone. Like, look, you're a black man. I mean, goddamn, who told me that, right? Who told me that? I didn't even know. I mean, it's fucking crazy, all right? And you're like, Jason, who told you that shit? Is there someone in the back that told you that? There are people, other black men, and I'll go even deeper, of your skin complexion, that can identify with you in certain things or whatever. So I'm not saying they can't identify you. They're identifying you in so many ways. And in many ways, me, a brother who's a few shades lighter, I'm a black guy in hiding, okay? My mom's black, my dad's white. They can identify in ways that I can't. That I can see, but not feel. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, to take that and maybe some of the things as a standalone to say that they know you more than I know you, I don't fucking buy it. I don't fucking buy it, Greg Faulkner. You know, Miranda, she don't fucking buy it. So I fucking loved it. Let's God, should we talk about some of these jokes? I really loved what he said about it's cool to be gay until it's time to be white.
Yeah. I was gonna talk about that. No, so I was gonna talk about that. Well, only because like the biggest thing right now is that like, hey, they're like, oh yeah, you're homophobic. No. And he's like, no, I'm not. The issue is that, you know, you have this whole movement, and how do you think that the people who are of color who are gay, how they're feeling? Because it's like, hey, they identify with being homosexual, right? But they're also black first, right? So it's like there's still disparity with that part. Yeah. And it's like you have the people who are homosexuals who are white who are in situations where, oh, hey, it's not because you're gay that you're in this situation. you know, they want to pull that card of like, you know, like that when he did that whole story of like when that guy, the bearded dude, got in his face or something.
Yeah.
and he's like, no, I'm not gonna fight you because you're gay. I'm gonna fight you because of what you're doing.
Because you might whoop my ass.
Right? You know, he's like, I'm ready to go. And he's like, oh well, let me call the police. He's like, what? He's
How
like,
would you like? Oh my God! How would you like to get your ass kicked by a gay man because you didn't want to fight him because he's gay?
like that.
How would you like to get your ass beat? Right? This is a bearded person. Like he said, I had some. Oh, that had me cracking up, dude.
Dude, I was like, dude, what? And the whole thing is too is like me knowing Dave Chapelle, like, hey, I would say, and I could say from what I've seen from years is he's all about equal rights. But if we're gonna have that argument, right? We're gonna say, hey, we all agree, hey, equal rights for everybody. That means equal jokes.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And
everybody, it's on the table.
And if there's anyone more qualified as far as anyone can get it is concerned,
yes,
he's the best man for the job.
Absolutely. And the thing is, he doesn't hate anybody. No. He takes a lot of this feedback personally.
How many comedians tell jokes about people that they actually hate? Very, very few. I mean, look, when you get into this political arena and people start telling political jokes, clearly some of these people come in with an agenda.
Oh, of course.
Right? If they hate the orange man enough. I'm not even gonna call him by his name, Agent Orange. But if you hate him enough, you're gonna tell jokes, and people that hate him on that level too. You have that level of Chekhovian suffering, and you're gonna find an audience for that.
Right.
He is a man of many audience. He's one of the best comedians I've ever heard in my life, and I'm a prisoner of the moment. I would say the best, but I think when I smack myself, I would say Richard Pryor.
Oh, and then dude, that guy was
like, didn't he get it too?
Yeah,
from the gay community.
Are you gonna tell? Okay, so. That is even funnier because if you thought Dave Chapelle was bad, like those jokes, that was gnarly.
Bullshit, my dick. that is Richard Pryor, dude.
You know, and then you even got like guys like Bernie Mac and like all these guys.
God,
all
Bernie
these guys
Mac would be rolling in his grave right now if he knew what the hell Chappelle or what they're trying to put Chappelle through.
Right. And it just goes to show that like a lot of these people are just bandwagoning of like, oh yeah, we're gonna cancel that guy.
It's like,
but hey, you gotta do your research. You gotta like literally, the only thing that I can see that he says is he was talking about how, in terms of the type of gay people that he really really likes, and it was because of that situation where like they feel like they until they need to be white again, they're like, oh. You were hating us because of this. I'm like, I'm gonna call the police. I'm gonna do all this stuff. And he's like, what? Like what? Like
Thought we were all the same.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's like, don't try to hide behind that.
Yeah.
This is what the situation is, and so I think that like it is sad that in this day and age that you can't have somebody go. Like a comedian, which is not an easy job to do coming up,
No, because you can tell jokes that are correct and people won't laugh.
Right, and then also on top of that though is he's not just telling jokes; he's also like giving knowledge. When he goes and does these stand-up specials, there is a serious component in terms of whether it's politics or current events, all this stuff that he's tying in just trying to make a little bit light of the situation so people can understand it in a way where they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I want to say something about Richard Pryor, but Dave Chapelle, compared to his other performances, I'm going to give you the floor. I rate the level of funniness as far as rolling on the floor laughing, I give B+. Content, delivery, substance, A++.
No, I agree. I agree. I had moments where I was like, oh, that was really funny. Like I was
and it's clever. It's Kanye West style, man. Miranda?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, but same thing. Like we've seen some of his specials that were actually, as far as like busting a gut, like I felt like I did 100 sit-ups funny.
Yeah.
There was funnier, but as far as like a total body of work, It's funny enough. I mean, I'm not saying it's not funny. I mean, we were all cracked. Come on. I mean, if this is his B plus A minus game, it's still better than everybody else's game. But total body of work, I give him A. I give him A plus.
Yeah.
Because the delivery, the timing, the importance of the subject matter, because it was important. And I wish people just watch it in its entirety. You'll understand why it was important to say what he had to say. It is important to say that because we look at people who are victims in our society and cast a perfect light on them when that's not what they're looking for either. They want other people to know that they're imperfect in so many ways, but being transgender is not one of their imperfections. He's like, you could be trans and still be racist, right? remember that question he asked?
No, and that was great. I was like,
what makes you think trans people can't be fucking racist? What makes you think a gay person can't be a fucking asshole? You know what? Take a trip with me to New York. We'll go to Chelsea. I'll show you plenty of them. But yeah, that was the message he was trying to get across. And the reason why he has so much support from the gay community and the transgender community is because he wasn't labeling their identity as an imperfection. He says it's his way of saying, hey, they have flaws too. Just because someone's a victim and just because someone needs to be recognized for their art doesn't mean that they're more or less gonna save the world than a straight person will.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Unity, right? This is what everyone's preaching. Unity. So, but the person that unfriended me, look, she was on my podcast, and I already knew that she didn't watch it because she told me she doesn't like Joe Rogan. She doesn't listen to Joe Rogan
so she's just not gonna listen.
No. Well, the reason she said she didn't listen to Joe Rogan is because she said he understood he had the Grand Wizard from the KKK on his podcast. And I'm like, when she said that, and I mean, I don't listen to all of his podcasts, but I go through the whole list.
Yeah.
Okay, that guy's hunting. I want to talk about hunting. I'm gonna skip that one. That guy's a comedian. Tom Segura. Bill Burr. Yeah, I want to watch that one. Bernie Sanders. Yeah. But she caught me by surprise because I don't remember that. So I basically said, look, Joe's gonna do what Joe's gonna do, and Joe's not always gonna have someone on the show that agrees with everything he says. Right. Like Ted Nugent is a Republican. He's into hunting. Joe is perceived as this right-wing person because he likes his guns, but Joe's never voted Republican in his life. He's voted only Democrat his entire life, except 2 elections where he didn't vote at all. So, what I found out later was that the Grand Wizard was the name of an artist. It wasn't the Grand Wizard from the KKK. It's the name of an artist, and he's black.
Oh my
so
God.
She won't listen to his podcast for a reason based on information that was obviously that she didn't research and vet herself.
Right.
And if someone like that is going to unfriend me and also leave under the premise that she's more aware than I am and probably thinks she's smarter than I am, in many ways she is. I'm just a fucking dumb kid from Brooklyn, but that level of ignorance, not just ignorance, willful ignorance, a protected ignorance, which basically means stupidity.
Right.
Fine. And my feelings are hurt because she's a nice person, and I really think that she's going to do really good things in the world. It's going to help a lot of people. And I was hoping like people like her and me or whatever can put all our differences aside and do that together. But in so many ways, if I asked any of my friends, if I asked Miranda, Miranda'd be like, good riddance. Good riddance. That's not the kind of friend maybe you don't need them on your team if they're going to dislike someone for something on information that's demonstrably false.
And I mean, we've already talked about that situation in terms of like, you don't need that validation. You don't, not from her. Why do you think I like Joe Rogan so much? Yeah. Why do you think I like Dave Chapelle so much? Why do you think all of these guys have these 3 things in common? One, they keep it real. Which it is my honor and privilege to be surrounded in this hot room with this hottest balls room right now, because it's hot right now, to have you and to have Miranda. Say hi, Miranda.
Hi, Miranda.
There you go. But to have people in this room that not only appreciate the level of realness that I disseminate, but also are real people themselves. It's great to have real and honest conversations. I like to surround myself with people like that. So that's one reason. The second reason is we don't. If you can't cancel someone that doesn't need your validation. Right now, I've been here 5 years. For what I want to do, I already consider myself a made man. Anything else I get after I just ate this dinner is cake. If I don't get cake with my dinner, that's cool. I'm already. There's nothing. Someone's gonna say, you won't get that college job. You won't get that. I'm like, all right, cool. They're not gonna cancel this podcast. They're not gonna cancel. I'm with LA Beach, LA Volleyball Club. Jason Olive's got my back. Dane Blanton's got my back. Right? So I'm pretty much a made man with what I want to do. And like you said, you can't cancel someone that doesn't need your validation. And here's the third thing, the reason I like them. Everybody loved Dave Chapelle. Everybody loved Joe Rogan until they started bashing Democrats. Until they get on the stage and be like, wait, you think your shit don't stink too? Oh, man.
I mean,
his true fans follow him anyway, regardless. But he lost a demographic of people that are like, oh, he's great. What did he just say? What did he just say about Obama? Or what did he just say about this and that? And that's the one thing I like about Dave Chapelle. It's not one-dimensional.
It's not.
Anybody can get it.
Yeah.
Anybody can get it, dude. Wow. And like that song, Uncle Murder, right? Anybody can get it. And I ain't got a problem taking care of the witness. For money, power, respect, for that money, I'll pop whoever in the neck. But yeah, I appreciate that compliment. And I echo that sentiment right back to you, pinging off your left ear, your right ear, straight to Miranda where she's sitting next to you. Speaking of Joe Rogan, I wanted to talk to someone about that ivermectin. He was mad at CNN. It was the first time I heard Joe and
that whole
it was the
story
first time
about
I heard Joe actually call out a news network.
Because
he's like, can I sue them?
They had the wrong information. They're talking about how, you're taking horse tranquilizers.
They lied.
And they're like, no, it could be used, but it's for humans.
Yeah. So for the people listening, for my listening audience who missed the Wendy Jones episode, basically Joe Rogan, for the first time, because the media's always criticized him, the right wing hated him because he thought they were crazy. The left hated him because he said, I like Bernie Sanders. And then all of a sudden they're saying he's endorsing Bernie Sanders. And then he listened to Biden talk. He said, I'd rather vote for Trump than Biden. Oh, he's endorsing Trump. So he's always ignored that. But now there were three people, three anchors, not just one news article, three anchors on CNN that said he got COVID and he's taking a drug called ivermectin, which is for actually to treat some bacterial infections or some kind of fever. It's used to treat symptoms. It's not a cure for COVID, right?
Yeah.
But his doctor prescribed it. So basically they were saying he's taking ivermectin, which is used for horses. Now the wording and how they put it is not a lie, but if you word it like that, your audience is going to think, this fucking guy's taking horse pills.
Right.
This fucking guy's taking horse pills. And he had Sanjay Gupta, who's like CNN's rock star besides Fauci, and says, hey, and Gupta's like, oh man, he says, that really bother you? He's like, shouldn't it bother you? He's like, you're the medical guy on their show, and they're lying about me taking a drug that's prescribed for humans. They made it sound like it's prescribed for horses and also humans. No, it's prescribed for humans first and also for horses.
Right.
And he says, I can afford the real drugs, motherfuckers. He just had me laughing. But even then, Fauci goes back on Don Lemon's show, and Don Lemon's like, well, we never said he's taking horse pills. We just said it's a medication that's used for horses. And I'm just like, why don't you just say sorry? Just say I'm sorry. Just say I'm sorry and then move on with life. But and Joe's not going to go after him. You know why? Because the reason why I even brought it up is because very much like Dave Chapelle, they came after someone that's really hard to cancel. I will even say uncancelable, if that's a word. And they missed. And it's not the first time they missed with Chapelle. It's not the first time they missed with Joe. And I think the more that they keep missing and the more support these people have, the more we as a society can say, hey, why doesn't everybody chill the fuck out? So, wow. Lots to unpack.
Yeah, I would just close with the fact that, like, as someone who's been a long time Dave Chapelle fan, and of comedy, I would think that it'd be kind of wild to have somebody, for you, like you were talking about how that lady, whoever it was like, labeling you as, you know, as the problem when it was she had her problem with Dave Chapelle, you know?
Right.
And
And I'm
I
like,
know,
yeah.
And I know for me, I'm like, look, I've played volleyball. I've had a ton of teammates and friends, even in this community, who are in the LB, you know, GTQ community, and it's like me having a deep understanding and love for the work of Dave Chapelle. Like, I know that I'm not someone who's homophobic,
Right.
or transphobic at all, at all.
Yeah.
You know, I have my own like brothers, I would even say, who I've played volleyball with, and I go to NAGVA tournaments all the time, you know.
Oh, NAGVA tournaments.
And hang out with them.
Aren't those the best?
And it's like, hey, I can go to those tournaments and not have people be like, oh, Greg's you know, Greg is gay because he plays in this tournament. No, I enjoy the volleyball and the people that I'm with, so I go to the tournament, you know. And without having that understanding, it's like you can't be like, oh, hey, it's got to be black and white, you know. It's
Yep.
You know, life's in the gray.
I also think what this does, comedians like this send a message to the general public that you can disagree with a couple of things on someone that you like and support, okay? A political thing. I voted for Obama twice, okay? Not because he's perfect. Like, I'm not down with that droning fucking people without a trial. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not down with the government spying on our citizens, you know, spying on our phone calls and our texts and whatever and this and that. I'm not down with that stuff, but you can, just because I voted for him doesn't mean I am him.
Right.
Oh, so you voted for God, so you're down with this? No, I'm not. So why'd you vote for him? For other reasons, you know? And it's the same reason why people voted for Trump. It's only been ignited tenfold because this reality star beat a long time, someone who's, I mean, talk about the most qualified candidate to be president, but at the same time, the one the public trusts the least, like Clinton, Hillary. It blew up. It started with Romney and Obama the second time, Obama's second term, but it really blew up when the orange man won. And everybody got to a point where, like, if you voted for him, you are him. And we know, we're in the South Bay. We know too many people that voted for him that we have more in common with. You know, we're not 12 years old. Do I think they made a mistake voting for that guy? Yeah, I do. Does that make them a bad person? No. Does that mean it changes what they do? Their philanthropy, their ability to help the homeless, their ability to do prison ministries, their ability to help people that has nothing to do with who you vote for. Greg, there's no one in your lifetime that's going to be in the White House that's going to change policy that's going to make you make more or less money. Presidents only affect the really, really rich, the billionaires, and most likely they got richer. They got richer under Trump. They got richer under Obama. Okay, they just keep getting richer. So there's nothing anyone that you've never met in your life, that you will never meet in your life, is going to affect the way you do your operations. I don't like these people wanting to start fistfights over people they voted for. Mm-hmm. You want to fight? You want a real fight? Let's vote on the local level. Napolitano's not doing his job. Vote his ass out. This mayor in Hermosa Beach not doing her job. You can't vote her out because I think they're selected. I think there's a selection committee that makes the mayor here. Greg, if the reason why they did that is because you can run for mayor and win. There's a system that implements the mayor. You gotta vote in certain officials, and those officials select a mayor because of that reason. Miranda, this man can run for if he did it under the free election rules. You can run and win, right?
Everybody knows that Greg Faulkner name.
That would be. Greg is like, my mom would be so proud of me.
She would, but at the same time, that would be interesting.
Yep. I think if I were mayor, I'd make sure blind people had seeing, like Chris Rock. Remember Chris Rock was talking about, instead of dogs, like seeing eye midgets? You know, just have like small people. This way you could have a conversation with someone, you know, instead of a dog, What? There's a stop sign. Nah, give me a seeing. This is where I offend small people now, right? Fee fi fo fum. But and the cool thing is, it wasn't me that said it. I just found it's funny, and people are gonna say I'm Chris Rock now, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's the message I think these comedians are trying to send. There's some people that we have friends that have crazy fucking ideas. All right, but we still love them to pieces. You can't take out on them what someone else is doing unless they're doing that January 6th bullshit. All right, this is what Miranda's thinking right now, and I'll just say it for you. There are people that take it too far, like what happened on January 6th. That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. And they're like, oh, but what about the summer riots and this and that? And I'm like, you think that had anything to do with politics? You think a black man getting shot in the back gave a fuck who the president was? Do you think someone getting choked out saying, I can't breathe, gave a fuck who the president was? Let me ask you something. Was Donald Trump president when Garner got choked out? No. Barack Obama was. Trump ramped up the emotions where when this guy in Minnesota, and I can't believe I can't remember his name, I'm just old, but when that happened in Minnesota, that was it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, and we've seen it in this country before. If you remember you don't remember, you're way too young. 1992. Shit, what the hell's his name? South Central, Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. What the hell's his name? The police got acquitted, and there was like this huge riot in L.A.
Was that the Rodney King?
Rodney King, yeah.
When they had the riots, yeah.
Yeah, but that was the last time we saw something like that. It was it was a boiling point, and it boils over. But do we remember who was president back then? No. That's why I don't compare what happened last summer with January 6th was about one person. Mm-hmm. What happened last summer was about a systemic problem that goes beyond politics. That goes color. And people make it political because what the politicians are doing to make money and what the news stations are doing to make money and to get ratings, they're ramping it up, man. That we're almost on the brink of a civil war.
Yeah. I remember I had a moment, we're talking about with, police stuff. I did have a moment that during the summer, I want to say it wasn't this past summer, but it was like during COVID. Yeah, during COVID. And I remember I went to the pier, had a few beers. I was with one of my best friends, and Brittany Estes.
Yeah.
So
LMU.
I was with her, right? And one other girl or something. And we were heading back. We were heading back to our houses, right?
Right.
And I've been here in the community going on, going on 5 years. And I've walked from my street on 2nd all the way to the pier and back multiple times. At different times of the night, during the day, whatever, right?
Man, a boy's got to have fun.
Right, And so the four of us, and I'll, start off by saying, like, me, I'm the one black guy in the group. We got, and the rest of the three people that are with me, they're all white. We're all hanging out. I'm carrying my friend Alex a little bit, and we're just walking back to the house going down the sidewalk. And I remember, like, out of nowhere, there's 2 cop cars that just like roll up. And this was kind of right around when they had the riot stuff going on, all that type of stuff, right?
Shit.
And so 2 cop cars roll up on us with the lights and everything, and they're like, "Hey, like, where you going?" And I was the guy who was talking to the cops. Like,
you were probably sober.
I was the guy. I was like, "Oh, hello, officer. How can I help you?" And he's like, "Oh, where you guys headed?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I live on 2nd. My friend lives on 6th. We went to the pier. We're just walking home." And he's like, "Oh, well, we heard some noise complaints." And I looked around and I was like, "Well, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I can assure you that it wasn't us. We were simply just walking home." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And it's being here in Hermosa, you get to kind of see the cops a lot. So there's a lot of normal people you see. And this is like a newer guy, and I could tell
and you knew he was new.
Yes, like there was an older cop that was kind of in the background, kind of chilling. I think it might have been like a routine, like you know, training thing, like giving him, like kind of showing him the ropes, like letting him go and see how he handles the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could tell this guy's new, and I cooperated, didn't do anything, wasn't aggressive at all to the guy, just trying to understand, hey, like, what, you heard some noise complaints, what's going on, and so yeah, he ends up just finishing with like, oh, okay, well, you know, just make sure you guys get home safe. And I'm like, all right, thank you very much. So they get in the car and they drive off, and everybody in the group looks at me like, what was that about? And I'm like,
walking while black.
I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
But to me, it had to be a training thing, because the guy in the car, the vet, I bet he knows you. I think Hermosa Beach Police Department is pretty good as far as like not creating this wall where they're like sentries, where like everyone's their fucking enemy. Mm-hmm. Don't know if you have that experience. I will speak as a guy who identifies as being black and white. The police know me by name. I say hi to them all the time, this and that. You know, they're at the pier. They're driving. You know what I'm saying? You'll see them driving by the beach.
Oh yeah.
Or like on the strand.
Absolutely.
They'll see you doing practices.
Oh yeah.
So my guess is the guy in the car was like, that's Greg Faulkner, and this is a good training exercise because you know Greg's not gonna give him a lot of shit. Like,
probably.
You know, yeah, like, where you going? You're not the guy that's gonna be like, I'm gonna mind my fucking business. That's where I'm going. You know.
Yeah.
You got a problem with that, Mr. Officer? So yeah. So
and it might have been a situation like that. And I know, like, for me, like, I wasn't trying to make a big deal of it. Like, it was just like, hey, I got stopped. But in my mind, I'm like, that's never happened. Not like that. And I was like, it's one thing if it was one cop car who rolled up, but we got rolled up by two.
It was a training. It had to be a training exercise because you were walking.
Yeah.
If you guys were staying in one spot and he's responding to a noise complaint,
that makes sense.
That makes more sense if, because that's like loitering, right? It makes more sense if you're stationary.
Yeah.
But no, you guys are on the move.
We were legit on the move, walking back home. We were literally probably on 8th Street. Mm-hmm. Maybe like almost getting to 6th Street for the girls to walk up.
Oh my God.
And we're just like standing there like, well, I mean, I don't know what's going on here. you know, I'm like, whoa, like, and like I said, it like the fact that they rolled up with two cop cars on us.
The hell was that?
And I was just like, yo, okay, this is a little bit much, like flashlights, everything. And I'm like, okay.
What? You got lit up?
Yeah, we got lit up out of nowhere.
You thought it was daytime.
Yeah.
Oh, Greg thought he was on Broadway. I can show you the world.
And this is probably like maybe closer to like, I want to say like it was like 1:30 a.m. You know, maybe 2. You know, because we were just coming back from the pier, and you know, it's one of those things where for me that's not uncommon, like in my life.
Right.
Like, it's happened.
Yeah, just a bit of a surprise in the South Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I've had moments like that. You know, for sure. And even when I was coaching at PV, I was in PV driving because I had coached at the high school. I've been stopped before out there, you know, and had talked to the officer, everything, you know. It just happens. And I know for me, you know, you always got that thought in the back of your mind when you see, like, you know, it's even though you're not doing anything wrong. Yeah. You like, I'm driving, having a good time, and you see a cop in the back.
Both hands on the steering wheel.
And you're like, is this gonna be the moment? Are they gonna get me? Mm-hmm. I was just like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, okay, we're good.
You ever saw this movie called Soul Man?
I've heard of it, yes.
It's C. Thomas Howell. Basically, he's a white guy that's trying to get a scholarship at Harvard, but you had to be black to get the scholarship. Yeah. So he OD'd on like a thing of tanning pills where he was black. This movie can never be made now because it's like a blackface thing, and C. Thomas Howell's not Robert Downey Jr., right? You can't skate on that as an artist. But he's driving right in Massachusetts because he got into Harvard, and this cop follows him, and he turns. The cop turns with him. He turns again. The cop turns with him again. He's like, what the fuck, man? Jesus fucking Christ. And then a car pulls out, and he doesn't see it, so he swerves to go around the car, just pulls out, and the cop stops him for not making a left turn signal. Yeah. And he's like, you didn't make a left turn. He's like, you saw what happened. He's like, yeah, just give me your license. He's like, all right, fine, my license. And he goes to get his license. But his license is still the white guy. It's still the white version of him, and he's like, I don't have my license, so he goes to jail. And he winds up in jail, right? And he's in a cell with a bunch of white people. And there's a bunch of hockey fans. He says, okay, so what are you guys here for? He said, we got busted by a black guy that looked just like you. It's called Soul, man. James Earl Jones is in it. It's a professor.
Oh, love that.
But I kind of liked it. And my favorite part is it was a fight. He wanted to play a pickup basketball game. Mm-hmm. And the two white guys who were like putting the team together, all right, I got him, and you got that. I was like, why do you get him? I get him. No, I get him. So and he's like, guys, I'm not that good, right? So they're like, well, have you played before? So they're looking at a black guy, of course, right? Yeah. They're like, have you played before? He goes, yeah, a couple of times in the park. Now they're fucking pushing each other. I get him.
Because he's like, oh, you play in the park?
Yes.
Hey, those guys are a different breed.
Yeah.
You see some of these guys in the park, you're like, why are you not in the NBA? What's going on here?
God, Rucker Park, and also in Manhattan, there's a place called West 4th Street. Mm-hmm. I'm like, these dudes are lip above the rim, just ball handling skills, and I'm like, man, playing street ball, and it's all on the asphalt, boy. Mm-hmm. So, wow. Think we unpacked enough? We talked enough volleyball. I know you're getting hungry.
I think we
did. And I know Miranda got to use the bathroom.
I gotta eat.
I think we did good.
One of you fuckers give me a ride.
Yeah.
Starbucks or something.
I was gonna say, you want to go to Ocean Diner?
Yes and no. Yes, I want to go, but no, because I already ate 2 hours ago, and it's pizza night.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and they close at 2. So you gotta if you. Yeah,
well, I'm down.
Actually, let's go.
Yeah.
What am I saying? What are you saying?
Yeah, we just go.
It's Ocean Diner. Let's just go.
Let's go.
Let's do that.
All right.
Hey, we're out of here. We're gonna get some food. Miranda's gonna go get some food. We gotta. This young lady's gotta eat. But for all of you at home, for all of you about to get your lunch on your iPhone, iPad, Droid, for all of you on your desktop, that's Greg Faulkner. That's Miranda Gagne. And I'm Jason DeBellis. Thanks for joining us. We love you. Peace. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.